Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions.
Tonight. How many of you have been to a dinner party already? Oh, okay, so great. A lot of you. Well, for those of you maybe who haven't been here before, my name is Elysabeth Alfano, and you are at Fear No Art Presents the Dinner Party. And what I do is I invite 3 Chicago or national celebs, and I also invite a chef to cook for them. So over food and wine and chocolate, the conversations flow. But the great thing about this event isn't just that it's an interesting, different event, but that everything that we're doing on stage, you're also doing in the audience. So you're also getting food tonight from John Manion, executive chef of La Serena Clandestina, a wonderful chef. You're also getting, and I see you've already done some damage here, you're getting some wine from City Winery, which is great, and of course later at the end of the evening you're going to have some chocolate from Vosges. So that would be pretty good, but that's not the end of it. You're also part of the conversation. So I want everyone to pull out their phones, get your Twitter fingers ready, and you can Twitter in questions to everyone here on stage at Fear No Art CHGO.
Today, what we're doing is a braised fennel, oyster mushroom, and cheese empanada. It's paired with a kale salad.
I have a quote from someone else. LeBron James, have you ever heard of him?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of him?
Good friend of mine, the LeBron.
Okay, he's a basketball player. I just learned this. Okay, so.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
What did you say? You just learned who LeBron was?
Yes, I found the quote online, and then I had to look up who LeBron James is.
Oh, can I say something? That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. That was funnier than my whole routine. Wow. Okay, go ahead.
And I thought of this when I found this quote, and immediately made me think of Peggy, and so I brought it out. Okay, to me, some of the things that make the most successful stand-up routines or artwork or music is commitment, just being dead straight about what you're doing. So LeBron James says, commitment is a big part of what I am and what I believe. How committed are you to winning? How committed are you to being a good friend, to being trustworthy, to being successful? How committed are you to being a good father, a good teammate, a good role model? There's that moment every morning when you look in the mirror. Are you committed or aren't you? And I love that quote. And I think of Peggy because Peggy sat in the Field Museum for 10 years painting lifestyle.
What an idiot. No. I should have been a little bit. And I played basketball. I could have, you know.
She also played the banjo and basketball. But she painted.
I could be making money. And instead I sat in the Field Museum.
10 years in the Field Museum before anyone asked her, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm painting here. And they said, well, let's see what you're painting. And she had painted their entire collection. And they said, well, maybe you should be an artist in residence here.
You would just go in?
She would go in every day.
And they would let you bring in your
They didn't even know.
Yeah, they were very agreeable.
Wow.
Well, you could cark in front for free.
Yeah.
And if you were teaching, you could get in for free. So I just made it my studio.
Awesome.
And I had a bunch of kids at home that I wanted to get away from. So I was like, oh, gotta go. Gotta get down. Yeah.
So my question is, if you're there for 10 years, which is a very long time.
You don't need anything back.
Well,
the doing the thing is the kick, and I don't need anything back. It's great if I get something back. Like, if you guys want to buy work, Aaron Packer is here. You know, but you got to do it, right? You do it because...
You had no doubt in those 10 years if you were on the right track, or if...
It wasn't a relevant question. I was happy doing it.
How do you tell if you're a good painter? How does a painter tell if he's a good painter? You're like, oh, man, I'm awesome. Or does someone have to tell you, like, do you have to get critics?
No, I don't wait around for anyone to tell me. It feels good when I get it right, and I trust that.
So it's a gut reaction.
Right.
Is it the same for you? When you have a good song, how do you know if the song is good?
Well, sometimes you don't know. I mean, like, there's sometimes if I think it's a good song, I think I might be a little clever about it. I might means that there's some things at work there that are. Here's an example. There's been times when I've been so afraid of a song that I don't know if it's any good, and then I have to play it for some of the band to let me know if it's any good or not. And I'll usually pick like the most gentle person to play it for. But and those are usually the songs that turn out to be like the best songs. Because if I'm afraid to play it, it means I'm revealing something so much. If I think I have a good song, it means I have something at work there that I know is working. Like, I love the way this bass line, this drum groove works, so I know it's good. It's a little bit of a clever trick that I know. But if I kind of don't know, it's sort of a mystery to me. That usually means there's a spark when something's interesting going on there for me.
Do you find sometimes like doing a song live in front of a crowd? Because for me, doing stand-up, I need crowd to tell me. Yeah, because I can sit up and think, oh, that's hilarious, and then I get in front of the crowd and hear crickets and like, oh shit. So that's for you, do you think the live crowd gives it to you, or just maybe some critic like Jim Derogatis tells you that's amazing, and then you think it's cool?
Yeah, no, it's the live crowd thing. It's a live human interaction that I mean it does. That's why I make stuff, at home, so I can take it out and do it live, and then interact with the people. Because I mean, if you are playing it right, which I imagine it's the same with the comedies, like if you're kind of, you have good material, you feel in a certain mood, you're feeling a mood from the audience, you can feel it start to snowball and it just gets bad, And you find things you didn't even know you could do or that you couldn't do. Reach certain notes or how to move people in a certain way. Back in my punk rock mod days, I used to drive a Vespa motor scooter. I had this beautiful little 150 Vespa Sprint that I brought out on the windward side and drove it home and never forget it. I painted it maroon and cream and decked it out with a Hawaiian flag and a bunch of mirrors. We had a little scooter club. It was total quadrophenia. We used to go out riding and go out dancing to ska in Waikiki. I mean, we were cool in the gang until Marky crashed and Mikey died. Oh, let's drive around the island and make me catch a flicket while I drive in. We'll make the scene, the girls like riding. I like to drive in the thunder and lightning.
Painting and a bunch of school kids are around me and there's this girl staring at me. She's maybe 10 and I'm drawing the thing and everybody's very quiet and respectful. And finally, after about 5 minutes, the girl said to me, "I want to be you." And I was like, yes, you want to be me. I mean, who cares if it's any good? I'm sitting in a museum drawing it, I'm not, so.
That's great.
I take that to heart more than.
Do you guys feel the same, that it's the satisfaction that you get whether the crowds are laughing or the sales are coming through?
I think, I don't know. I think I like feedback after shows, but, people who are like me who tell me they like me is great, but I like when old white people say they think I'm funny. I'm being honest, like, oh, yeah, like, oh, you're so funny, like, really? Wow, thanks. Like, you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It lets me know, like, my comedy is more universal that I can, because I get scared. I know some comics will get terrified to do a show here. They're looking out, oh God, this is not my comfort zone. Yeah. But if you get what I'm saying and you think it's funny, I appreciate it.
Well, just like your tweet. So you've been transcending.
Yeah, you have to, transcend all those, and Deion Cole, who was my comedy mentor, he was the first black writer on the Tonight Show. He works with Conan O'Brien. He told me, if you can do your comedy act in the hundreds, which is 111th, whereas really, really black, or here in Rogers Park, or over on the West Side with Mikey O, who does more Latino rooms. That's who's funny, people who can be funny to everybody, and I think that's what helps me out. So, I had a bad jungle fever problem. It was rampant. It's super rampant, where I would be on the prowl looking for Lincoln Park Trixies and hanging out, and I would go and find wherever they hang out at, like at the Watering Hole. The Watering Hole for white girls is like the Lululemon or the organic farmers market, wherever they're at, that's where I will be on the prowl looking, okay? So I got to find something that makes me look non-threatening because I don't want to scare them off. You know, because I'm tall, ruggedly handsome, and, you know, I don't want to startle them. So I found what works is if I get a Starbucks drink. You ever seen a black man with a Starbucks drink, how non-threatening he looks immediately? With a venti latte, like, you know, bow, relax, it's $19 worth of coffee. I can't do anything with all this expensive coffee. It's hazelnut, relax. Okay? But you got to keep the lid on the cup. That's the key. Keep the lid on the cup, because without the lid on the cup, you're just a well-dressed black man asking for spare change. So keep the lid on the cup, because loose change will ruin a coffee drink. Like, Blue, bitch, I'm not homeless, wow! It's happened, all right? So I would take my Starbucks drink down to the organic farmers market, and I see a pack of Megans. A whole pack of Megans. Talking over about the portobello mushrooms, about New Yorker articles and Lululemon outfits and stuff. And I'll have to let off my white girl maiden call. And it was something like this. It was like, ba-do-da-da-do-da-da-do-da, la-do-da. You just wait. It will be always one Megan that strays from the pack. Like, oh my God, what was that? It works.
So speaking of tweets, I have a tweet here for Peggy from Wales H. Rubbery. People often put science and art on opposite ends of the spectrum. Ooh. How have the two influenced each other? So she works at the Field Museum.
Yeah, I think we're parallel.
Yeah.
I think we begin with observation. We don't know where we're going. We hope the thought we had is what we develop, but usually you discover something along the way that's better than what you thought up.
And that's the same for science.
That's the same
artists.
process of the scientists and what I'm doing.
Yes, so Peggy has a beautiful book that I did have on the table, and I don't know where it went. Oh, God, okay. My dinner party's falling apart. Okay, he's coming back, in theory. So Peggy has this beautiful book that she's done about how, explain it. So you work with the scientists to put the books together, and so you can bring together a scientific look at the birds through your art.
So I went upstairs and started painting insects. What a treat. I had painted every bird in the place, and insects are everything. They're furry, and they're just fabulous.
Every color. Thanks, Frank. Thank you. Yes.
And I thought, well, there's nothing around here, Chicago. And the guy, one of the scientists, kept saying to me, why don't you just concentrate on local insects? And I said, what? There's what, spiders and roaches, you know? But then he started bringing me these beautiful insects from Illinois. So that became the Illinois insect. Big seller. Big book seller. You know, everyone's dying to get my book, you know.
So I mean, it's hard. You have to have this vision, and you have to also sort of be open to everything around you. And I wonder, how do you balance those to get your artistic inspiration from everything and yet be really single-minded about where you're going?
I like to sort of like, as much as I can, live my life like a child. Like whatever's interesting me in the moment, I give it my full attention until I'm bored with it. You know, like really selfishly let myself have that. So it's like, if I'm into Brazilian music, I'm all about Brazilian music for like 6 months, you know, and if I'm into, you know, I don't know, many other things, it could just be like that. And I feel that's one way that sort of keeps it kind of steady for me, because then it's you know, I'm not trying to, I'm just following my instinct. So then it helps me.
See, I think people think it's a bigger voice, like someone's going to land on your, you know, dresser and say, you should be a whatever. It's just a teeny little nudge, and then you have to nurture it. It doesn't, you know, you got to go, oh, I feel like that'd be really fun.
But you bring up something else. I mean, what happens when the muse doesn't come? So you're looking at the busboy and you just can't find a thing that's funny.
So you still have your pen in your hand every morning. I mean, that's what writers say, and I believe it. You sit down and you do it.
Or you can go through old stuff. You know, sometimes if I can't find some new jokes, you know, like I haven't thought of a new joke in a week or two, I'll go do an old joke that I haven't done in a while, and you know, maybe you can revisit it, or just something else spark that creativity. Or
call me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, or honestly, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. it's non-comedians who are the funniest people. Like, what the hell did you just say? That's hilarious. And then,
But see, I think a lot of that is just being open all the time as an artist.
Yeah.
You know, some people just, you know, you're so busy, because we all get so busy, maybe you don't hear and see things, but you're still constantly looking. I don't know.
I think there's times to do, like, I used to always try to keep, like, a notebook on me, and I always write down when somebody said something, oh, that's great. You know, like, you know, that's a great combination of words, or whatever it was. But then there's times when you get tired of being that guy, and you want to just, like, live life and sort of be in the moment of it, and then go to write about it later. But, you know, like, I don't want to always be the person trying to capture the idea as it's around. But sometimes you just want to live, and then you want to work. And I do know that for sure, if I am writing on a regular basis, I'm going to come up with way more material. I mean, just the act of writing, there's for sure, I'm sharper. If I'm listening to music all the time and I'm writing, I do a lot. I mean, the big thing for me is if we're recording a record, it might take me, I'm a slow writer. It takes me a long time. It would take me 4 years to write a record.
Wow.
Or what, you know, what I think's a record. You know, like, okay, yeah, now I've edited these 30 songs down to 12 that I really like. Then we'll go in the studio and record it. But interesting things happen, like, you know, like when we recorded 7, for instance, we went in, we had like 15 songs that we had boiled down from lots of demos. We already knew these are nice songs, they'll be fun to record. We replaced half of those by stuff that was written in the studio while we were playing. We just kicked out like ones I'd written 3 years ago that I thought were great, and we're like, no, this one's better, you know. So it's and when you have the fever pitch going, then the material comes.
So, black bean risotto in the Brazilian style, and then we're going to pair that with a little pork overkill, pork loin, simply oven roasted, skin on, no seasoning but salt. I kind of feel like it doesn't need anything else. You can hear the cracklings. And just about perfect. So to cut some of that fat, we use some chimichurri, which is sort of the ubiquitous condiment of Argentina. Garlic, parsley, vinegar, olive oil, oregano, chili flakes, salt and pepper. That's it. Finished off with a little green onion. Roasted pork loin, black bean risotto, chimichurri. And that, as they say, is that.
You change your menu more than almost any restaurant I know, so I wonder what the impetus for this is.
The menu changes seasonally. I think that as somebody who's cooked in, thanks, brother. As somebody who's cooked in Chicago for a long time, we suffer through the winter.
Right.
It's strange because we opened up October 15th, and that was the end of the grow season. You know what I mean? Like, from there on in, it's more or less brown food is what you have to look forward to until we start seeing things like favas and ramps, and it's really been the last 2 weeks that have been inspirational. Right. So, I mean, it's hard to even imagine how excited we get about something like English peas. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's green. It's something from the ground. And that, to me, that always dictates how we cook. I tried to keep it very focused on my time in Argentina when I was an adult, travels in Brazil, and I wanted to keep on that coast. But one thing that I think always kind of creeps into the vernacular of cooking in Chicago is Mexican food.
Right, sure.
Because I've lived in a Mexican neighborhood forever, and also I've cooked with really, really talented Mexican guys for coming up on 20 years. So that's always going to, like, to me, that's the biggest, other than the markets, that's the biggest Chicago influence, is really soulful Mexican food.
And what's the difference between soulful, I've heard that term, soulful Mexican food, and then chi-chis. What's the difference between...
You know, really the difference is I learned how to make mole, and I'll never be able to replicate it. I know all the steps. I know exactly what this guy, Omar Mendez, who I worked with at Moss for years, did, but I'll never have it. I can make pretty good mole. I'll never be where he was because it was his grandmother's recipe. You know, it was sort of intuitive. It was all about, he didn't measure anything. He would kind of go over here and do, you know, peel some carrots while this was roasting, and it just kind of all fell into the pot the way it was supposed to. But it was, at the end of the day, you could taste the love. And I think that's, when somebody really loves the food they're cooking, you can taste it.